Hi folks, welcome to part 2 of how the rock and roll CD came to be. In part 1 I did forget to mention how the CD came about was I always wanted to do original material, but nobody wanted to do it, as I've told you in the last video. I finally just came to a point in my life where I actually left one job to try to do music, as my living. But I got offered another job, and it had some decent money that I said, hey, now's the time. I have the money to go in the studio and get this CD going. So that was July 2014 is when the wheels started turning for this CD. The funny story, which I forgot to tell you the first time, was I looked at about 5 or 6 different studios. Now the funny thing is, and you'll see how this plays out, when I was in a band called Slow Burn back in the 90s, we actually went to John Schwab Studios in Columbus, Ohio, I believe right around that area. And there was a producer named Joe Veers. So I had it in my mind, if I could still find that guy, if he's still in the Columbus area, I'll try to hook up with him, because I didn't know of any other producers. And that was one of the main guys back in the late 90s that was like the top guy here, at least in Columbus, Ohio. So I was looking for him. I actually went back to John Schwab Studio, and he was no longer there, and nobody told me where he was. Strange enough. So I went to a couple other studios. I took notes. I visited a couple other producers, and the last one I went to was actually Jack Campitelli at Fish Tank Audio. And immediately when I met Jack, I just connected with him. Something was about him. He was just like super cool. Then I had him play me some stuff he worked on with his band. And I said, can you make my stuff sound like that? He goes, oh yeah, that's not a problem. I said, that's what I want. I went to a couple other studios, and they just couldn't, I didn't think the sound was there. And I didn't want to waste my time or money if it wasn't going to be a great project. So that's how I chose Jack. And I even told Jack, I said, hey, there's one other studio I want to visit. I think I'm going to go with you. The next studio is going to have to do something, remarkable for me to change my mind. But that's how I ended up with Jack Campitelli. And again, I would have finished the CD with him, but he actually moved to Tennessee. So the last episode we told you, he recommended Sammy Hooff, and I even told Sammy Hooff, I said, and this is a true statement, if I ever got a CD together, I'd love for him to play on it. And if fate would have it, he played on it. And he was very humble. He's like, thank you. I can't believe that I said, dude, you're awesome. So fate have it that he was on my CD. It was just an awesome coincidence. So next was to come to bass. I thought I could probably do some bass, but I was like, well, if I get a person who can play bass, it's going to sound better. So I tried to hook up with my old buddy Mike Mapes from Slow Burn. I couldn't get a hold of him. It had been like 5 months since I last talked to him. So Jack actually had another bass player lined up for me. And again, as fate would have it, Mike actually called me out of the blue. I said, Mike, I've been trying to get a hold of you for a few months now. And unbeknownst to me, he almost died. He had a lot of health issues. And I was just really floored. I was like, oh man, I didn't really know that. Because I knew where he's worked. I stopped in his work. I left a message at his work. I called his home, and he never got back to me. But when he was healthy enough, and it was a few months later, he got back to me. And I said, Mike, if you're healthy enough, man, I got this project. I told him about it. I said, I'd love for you to play on it, man. And he said, by all means, I'd love to do it. And the thing about Mike Mapes, is when I was in Slow Burn, me and Don Catlett was forming this band, and he had brought Mike and another guitarist over to jam with. And I immediately connected with Mike. There was a point where I just went over to him. We just started jamming. We was looking at each other, just like feeling it. And his bass stuff sounded so good behind my songs. So I knew that Mike, I always wanted Mike involved in the project somehow. And we've kept in touch over the last 20 years or so. And 18 years, whatever it was. But I always wanted Mike to play bass for me. And it just so happens, he called me right when we was getting ready to do bass. And Mikey's awesome too. He came in and did, again, 15 songs in about 8 hours, which is unbelievable. And then the other 5 songs, he didn't have a chance to do because Jack was just moving to Tennessee at that time. Sammy had came back and did the other 5 songs on drums, but Mike was supposed to have been at that session, but we had a couple communication problems. We didn't really know what was going to happen in that session, so it didn't happen. But we got Mike to record the other bass tracks at Joe's. So that's how it came to be so far. Hooked up with Jack. Jack led me to Sammy. I had Mikey in mind. And again, Mikey came in, and I just basically let him do whatever he wanted to do on the tracks. And I will have to be honest, Mikey knows this, Sammy might not know this, but at first it was really hard for me to hear anything else. I think I might have told Sammy this. I was so used to hearing just that basic drum track, boom, 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 because that's what I laid the scratch vocals to and the scratch guitar. And for Sammy to do all this other stuff, it took me a while to process it in my mind. And then again, I had little bass lines that I'd wrote, and to hear something different, it took me a while to process. But sometimes when I would go to record my guitars, I would get lost hearing Sammy's drums because they were so good. I'd be listening to the drum and I'd mess my guitar parts up. Same thing with Mike's bass. I'd just be sitting there listening while I'm trying to redo my guitar parts, and I just get lost in the songs and the bass or the drums. So I was so happy with how things was coming. Sometimes I would get lost in the songs when I was recording my guitars. And Jack would have to tell me, hey dude, I know the stuff sounded good, but you got to concentrate on your part. We got to get your part down. So Jack was very patient with me. I had some timing issues, and everything worked out so great. So again, we found Jack, found Sammy, found Mikey, and that was the nucleus of the project right there. Us four guys. Again, we're just getting to the point where Jack's getting ready to move to Tennessee, and we'll take that up on the next episode. But just to let you know, August, hopefully, we're crossing our fingers here, August, but definitely sometime in September, we're going to have a double album, double CD, however you want to call it, called Rock and Roll. 22 original songs that I've written, and I've hooked up with some world-class musicians, and it's coming out so good, I just can't wait. Right now we're at the point, we're almost there. I don't want to give it away. I want to kind of tell the story as we go. But we're almost there. So look for August 2016, if not September 2016. And we'll have another video single released August 2016. I've already released 3 video singles. So check those out. There'll be a link down below. Subscribe to this YouTube channel. Like me on Facebook and also my website. Until next time, the next episode will tune you in. This is the Rock and Roll King, Robert R. McFarland, talking to you. Keep on rocking in the free world while it's still free. Have some music. It's a soundtrack to life. And we're coming for your ears, 2016. Your ears will be ours once you hear these songs. They're that good. I promise you that. There's something on here for everybody. Until next time, folks, take care. Keep rocking and rolling.